Good evening. Welcome to the Laws of Working Smarter, Not Harder. Tonight, I want to welcome my guest, Charlie Janes. Charlie is the president of Agile Customer Engagement LLC and Focal Point Certified Business Coach. He works with owners of businesses of all types and sizes to accelerate revenue growth, build teams, develop leaders, train sales teams, and much more. He's built 3 organizations from the ground up to over $100 million and helped sell one of them for over $300 million. Charlie's mission is to build communities by helping leaders create meaningful organizations through growth and exit strategies. He's an entrepreneur himself. He and his wife own and operate right-at-home franchises to provide career opportunities for caregivers who give in-home care to the elderly. He also works with foster children as a court advocate. He became a business coach because he believes talented leaders need a trusted advisor to help them contend with relentless change and competition. So with his background in big business development as an entrepreneur, as well as his coaching certification, he can really drop some knowledge on us regarding ways to work smarter. So welcome to the Laws of Working Smarter, Not Harder, Charlie.
So great to be here. Thanks. What a great introduction.
Thank you. So what quick tips can you share with our audience about how to work smarter, especially in regards to the challenging environment we're working in right now?
Well, the challenging environment is the big sentence there, isn't it? People
Absolutely.
Working from home, they've got their children running around. Sometimes I have a dog run across my desk when I'm on a
Mine's
webcam.
right here. To my right.
Right. So it is a different ball game, but it was getting hard before with automated jobs and global competition. So, I think the main tip is to think about what your special purpose is. So in my case, I've been working so hard the last 25 years, and I stopped being unsatisfied with the results that we were getting. And my wife was the same way. So we gave up very successful careers in Silicon Valley, drove across the country looking for a new place to settle. And we decided what our purpose was, is we want to create community, as particularly through job creation and supporting the constituents like the elderly and foster kids. So that's what we do. And all the activities that we do align along that course.
That's fabulous that you focused on those communities that are probably having the hardest times. And I really want to hear more about that at some time. So tell me, what is your favorite law of working smarter, not harder?
My favorite law is that you can do anything, but you can't do everything. I had a manager one time that would say that the greatest waste of time and energy is to do a task well that doesn't need to be done well at all. So if you think about out there, the people that we all know, depending on what, the listeners believe is, the hallmark of success, I'll be from business, but it could be somebody, family member. But Warren Buffett is famous that he doesn't do. We see the things he does on TV, but he has a list, a year-long plan for what he wants to accomplish. He and all his managers choose 20 things that they want to work on. They come together to boil that down to 5, and then they boil it down to no more than 3. And that's why they're always so excellent and good looking.
Yes. Yeah, I know I'm guilty of that sometimes. So I'm happy to get that input. So how would you say we can enhance our ability to focus and keep on point in a meaningful way?
Well, that's the $1 million question. You're a genius, but focus on what? So, what I always recommend is people take an inventory of their lives. And this graphic here is an exercise that I do as a business coach. I've gotten great personal value. As a matter of fact, I did this exercise before I decided to become a business coach. But the idea is that you look at the 4 most important things to most people in life. And it's their financial independence, it's their business success, it's their health and their fitness, and then it's their family relationships. So it's not any one thing. You don't want to overly focus on any one of those. Really what you're looking for is balance.
Right.
So the first thing to do is to think about, if I did everything right, if I was a perfect person according to my values and my special purpose, what would perfect look like? What would, on those matrix, what would tens look like on each matrix?
Right.
And thinking about that. So let's think about that for just a moment with health. What's important? Is it enough sleep? Is it not drinking too much? It's different for every person, but that every person should put together what a perfect outcome would be for them. And then the idea, you go through that matrix, all four of them, and then you chart where you're at. And you try to do that as honestly as possible by those metrics of what perfect looks like. And again, perfect, the key thing here is, like, for me as a business person, I'm not going to try to be Elon Musk, the CEO of 3 major disparate companies. That's just beyond my capability.
Right.
Perfect should be something that I've got a 50% chance, if I work really hard, at achieving. It's not to
set without adding too much on the plate, right?
Yeah, it's not to make yourself miserable by not attaining your goals, because then you give up. But once you do that, you say, okay, this is where I'm at. This is where I want to be. And then you ask yourself, well, what are the gaps? What are the obstacles in helping me get there? And that's really where it starts, where you start digging into what you need to do day to day to get you to where you want to actually be.
Perfect. So what other wisdom can you share about how we can be more productive with our time and resources?
Well, how much time do we have, first off? Because right now it's absolutely, it's all free. No, I think the most important principle that I want to lay out for you, and I think you've all heard it before, but it's the 80-20 rule. So say that you are a business owner and you set a goal to achieve 5 million in sales. Basically what we learn is that in most businesses, almost every business, 80% of the revenue comes from 20% of the customers.
Right.
And likewise, when we're building a team, a lot of times 80% of the problems come from 20% of the people. So by breaking things down into smaller chunks, you can arrive at those top three things that you really want to focus on and devote yourself to by just simply using the 80-20 rule.
So tell me about, you mentioned using the superconscious mind to attain our goals. Can you share how we can do that?
Well, there's a lot of different ideas there. But first off, people might not know what superconscious mind is. So if we think about our brain in layers, and I'm showing off my brain with this receding hairline really well.
That's why I have bangs.
So when we're thinking about goals, we're thinking about what's important to us. But the superconscious mind is that layer beneath the subconscious and then the superconscious. So the superconscious and subconscious is really where art and creativity comes from. Whereas the conscious is more about the critical thinking, the computation to get through your day every day. So did you ever notice that when you set a goal for yourself, or you've thought about something you want to accomplish, but you're kind of nervous and you don't know how to get there? Did you ever notice that when you go to sleep or when you relax for a couple minutes, all of a sudden ideas start popping into your head?
Absolutely.
That happens to me all the time. And a dirty little secret, now that I'm working from home and I'm not in Silicon Valley, I have a couch right over here. And about halfway, about 2 o'clock every day, when you kind of hit that lull where and I start my day pretty early, I lay down for a couple minutes and I start thinking about the things that aren't done that day. And I usually come up with a couple great ideas that help take me forward. And these things in the superconscious mind is particularly important when you think about your family relationships, issues of emotion, right, ways of asking a question or addressing a concern with somebody. So I can give anybody who's interested more information on and how to tap into your superconscious mind. I think we mentioned I'm a business coach at Focal Point. We have a library of over 80 different books written by our founder, Brian Tracy. So if that's a topic of interest to somebody here, just put your name in or send me an email, and I'll get you a book on that topic so you can learn a little bit about it. And of course, that's no charge. That's just for me wanting to be helpful.
Very generous. Then what specific actions do you recommend for people who want to accomplish more with less effort?
Well, I'm going to recommend 3 really important things. So the first thing is, when I showed you that graph, that matrix of financial security, that's something you can draw on a piece of paper, unless you're a really bad artist.
Right.
But do it anyhow. Do that exercise. Rethink about where you're at right now, especially mapping to what your special purpose is. And I hope that'll leave some stress of you trying to do too many things that you can't possibly achieve everything. So that should prioritize and clarify your mind. So that's the first thing. The second thing is probably the biggest key to success for all the greatest leaders that there's ever been. The greatest leaders and the greatest achievement people write down their goals. They write them down every single day. There's something, and it involves your superconscious mind, but when you physically write down your top 10 goals that will help you achieve your special purpose or your business outcome, or maybe even your goals for health, it reinforces in your mind the things that you have to do every day. So it gives you an immediacy. Now, it's okay if that list changes. As a matter of fact, you're going to accomplish a lot of those goals. But keep in mind, some of you might have heard the concept of SMART goals. The goal needs to be very specific. A goal that's not specific, measurable. So if you want to lose 5 pounds, you want to lose 5 pounds. And when do you want to lose the 5 pounds?
Right.
And then the other thing is, your goals need to align with your values and your special purpose. So if you have a goal to become the world-class golfer and to become a billionaire, those are going to conflict with each other unless you're Tiger Woods. And it didn't even work for him, I don't think. So, you really have to commit. And then finally, the third thing then is getting back into that idea of concentrating and not letting the daily stress get on you, and keeping your mind on those goals. One famous story around goals that I want to leave you with, I think we're down to about a minute, is that the graduating class of Princeton in, I think, the 1950s were asked by the speaker, how many of them write down their goals? And 3% raised their hand. 10%, 10 years later, they came back and they studied that class. And in this case, by the measure of finance, how much money they had and how much growth they had, those 3% out-earned the other 97% in an elite school. So that's how serious this is. That's how much the science of staying focused on what's important, weeding out what's not, like Warren Buffett, and relying on your subconscious to help you solve problems is the way to get much closer to where you want to be in life. So I wish you all happiness and success. And I think my contacts are up here. If I can ever be of assistance, email me and I'll send you resources, or I'll try to help however I can.
Great. And I can put that chart in the Facebook page that I have, Work Smarter with Lisa. So you can search on Facebook, Work Smarter with Lisa, and I'll post that tomorrow, if not tonight. And Charlie, thank you so much. That was some great information, and we look forward to finding out more. So reach out to Charlie. He will send you some great resources and elaborate on how to use the superconscious mind and other great tips.
Thanks everybody.
Again, Charlie.